This episode is brought to you by Peacock. The new Peacock original documentary, Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy, dives deep into the beloved actor's rise to fame and his tragic death. 5 people, including Perry's personal assistant, 2 medical doctors, and an alleged Hollywood drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, were charged with conspiracy to illegally provide Perry with the ketamine. Explore the details of the case in this heartbreaking special, streaming now only on Peacock.
Are negative Google reviews hurting your business? Don't let unfair feedback cost you customers. At Webamax, we specialize in removing false, misleading, and damaging reviews so your online reputation stays strong. Our expert team works quickly and legally to clean up your digital presence, helping you rebuild trust. Visit us on the web at www.gowebamax.com. That's GOWEBIMAX.com, or text us for a free quote at 856-840-8343. Don't let bad reviews define you. Get immediate help from Webamax.
At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
Matthew Stafford is back on a new restructured deal with the Rams. No trade is happening, Rams Nation. We'll talk about that next on this breaking news edition here on the Rams Up podcast. Oh, baby, Rams Nation. We survived the offseason thus far. Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network here. I'm Ian. That's Mark over there. Matthew Stafford is back. Wow, wow, wow. Rams Nation, like, subscribe, share this video, share this podcast with all your fellow Rams and football fans. And in the comments, let us know, what do you think Matthew Stafford agreed to with this new restructured deal? And how do you feel about number 9, Glock 9? Being back with the Rams. Fantastic. Mark, how are you doing today, dude?
Man, it's been a good day, a very good day to be a Rams fan. We got some other news we'll share in addition to this. And, I woke up this morning, working on thinking about content. Should we talk about Jimmy G? Should we talk about Aaron Rodgers? And then I started getting the blast text messages. Yeah, it's a good day to be a Ram fan.
Yeah, good day. And one more time, in case you've been away. You've been unplugged from the matrix of football to decompress like the players do sometimes. Stafford is back, everyone. I mean, what a great freaking thing. He's back, as the Rams put this out a little bit earlier today, as many of us, including myself, Mark, and many of our other colleagues, friends, we were all stressing over this to some degree or another. Maybe Mark a little bit less, as he had the faith. Me, a lot of stress because I thought he was gone. And we'll chronicle through that real quick, right, Mark? I mean, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It's been a bit of a bumpy road to get here, but yeah, walk us through this, Ian, how this all came down.
Yeah, let's go through this, Rams Nation, as I think it's just really important to go through how we got to this point, right? We ended at a positive note. He is back, but let's go through it. So it starts with last offseason, Rams Nation. The 2024 negotiation was rough. If you remember, Stafford had a lot of non-guaranteed money in the 2024 season the 2025 and 2026. So the Rams knew that. And Stafford was like, hey, I'm not going to play at this cheap deal for $25 million in 2024. So for months and months and months, as it was reported recently, they were battling on the money that Stafford was going to get in that. And it ended up leading to, if you remember, and we covered this and we knew something was up, right, Mark? Where the first day of training camp, Stafford, McVay, heavy, important personnel in Rams leadership was late to their media availability by an hour or more, if my memory serves me correctly, where it has now been reported that Stafford and McVay were locked in a room on the phone with other Rams leadership to figure out a contract before he, stepped foot on the practice field officially leading up into the season. And, when McVay came back after it was all settled and a deal was in place, he was stressed, right, Mark? Do you remember? We talked about that heavy, like, something was not right. McVay was not right, and he had that sigh of relief on his face, but we knew something was up.
Yeah, he was out of sorts, and compared to, like, I saw him on Fritz and Witt today, and the bubbly McVay was back in contrast to, I remember that, and he just looked disjointed, very unhappy, stressed, and it all turned out well. But yeah, we saw a side of McVay that maybe we hadn't seen before that day.
Yeah. So, hey, we got the deal done. And what was that deal? Again, Matthew Stafford was and is under contract through another couple years. But that 2024 renegotiated, constructed, restructure, whatever word you want to use, Rams Nation, Stafford agreed to a de facto 1 year, $40 million deal for the 2024 campaign we all just went through together. And that's what happened. And they agreed to that saying, hey, in 2025, we're going to revisit this thing again. So what ended up being the case is by shoving more money into that 2024 season, reaching it to $40 million per year, which is still under market, under value for a top 10, top 5 quarterback like Stafford. 2025 and 2026, there was no guaranteed money, which led to everyone speculating, okay, they're going to have to revisit it, but what are the Rams going to do? They are known to be aggressive. They are known to not give a damn who you are, what you've done for the organization. They will move on from you. I mean, guys, Cooper Kupp, he's going to be gone. Ramsey, Wagner, Floyd, Robert Woods, Allen Robinson, others. I mean, we can go down the list of plenty of players in the McVay era where that's been the case. So with that, the Stafford trade rumors began. Malik Neighbors, Giants wide receiver, putting the 9 and 10 with the googly eye text emoji, or putting number 9 with a ram and a blue heart. Everyone's like, okay, Malik, we get it. You want him. Stafford's good. Not happening, bro. Right, Mark? I mean, that was a weird time. Everyone thought it was a bunch of BS when that was started.
Yeah, I know the Giants were absolutely interested. I'm pretty sure they were anyways. And the more I thought about it, we know Matthew Stafford, and we know he has his eyes on a Super Bowl and the Hall of Fame, and he wants to be paid fairly. All that makes sense. But the New York Giants, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to throw shade at them. Well, actually, maybe I am. But I just don't see that being a smart move. I don't know. I don't care how much money they're going to pay him.
Yeah,
I think he would be, irrelevant, most likely, moving forward if he were to go to the New York Giants. I mean, Giants could turn it around and be a competitive team. But, it just didn't make sense to me, that at least the Giants. And none of these trade scenarios really made sense. But,
yeah,
you still have to worry that one of them were going to happen.
For sure. And then we get to the point where those worries did start to happen, where Rams gave Stafford's agent permission to speak with other teams, and everyone was like, uh-oh. And that's when my alarm went off, right? My internal alarm, like, okay, this is for real. Like, they are really considering moving on from him. And like I said, based off this team's history with the McVay-Snead era, they'll do it. And that's when I was like, holy crap. And again, it wasn't a trade request. It wasn't all this stuff. But, reporters were like, hey, like, Rams are really considering all options. And I was like, holy crap. Because, again, Matthew Stafford only was going to get paid for $27 million, and 0 of it was guaranteed. So I get it. They're going to, see all the avenues that were available. And then trade talks get serious, right? The Giants rumors really start to build up, right, Mark, as you alluded to. Then other teams. And then the biggest one, Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford meeting in Montana? What is this, Cabo 2.0? And, friend of the show, Jake Ellenbogen, was one of the first people that I had talked to on a person-to-person level about it, just kind of picking his brain and just, talking Rams. And he was like, oh, no, this is for real, dude, with the Raiders stuff. And I was like, holy crap, Mark.
Yeah, and that's another team that didn't really make sense to me. I'm not surprised that Tom Brady, I know Tom Brady has a lot of respect for Matthew Stafford, as he well should, but does Matthew Stafford going to the Raiders, is that going to get him to a Super Bowl? They're going to have to go through the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. It made no sense to me. It made sense for Tom Brady wanting Stafford, but I don't know. It just didn't make sense from Matthew Stafford's perspective. Maybe Kelly would be happy with a short move from LA to Vegas, but other than that, it didn't make sense.
And then that, coupled with Kelly Stafford's podcast appearance every offseason saying something that Rams fans don't like, I'm sure Stafford probably wish wasn't said on camera into a microphone, that this Brady and Stafford at the Yellowstone Resort or whatever, I don't remember exactly the details of what that, campus or place is off the top of my head. But, vacation spot for a lot of people. And that caused, the Stafford trade reports causing insider NFL beef. If you haven't heard, Ian Rappaport, not me, Ian Martinez, Ian Rappaport, the big reporter for the NFL Network insider, he, in an indirect way, said that Jordan Schultz's first report about Stafford and Montana having serious meetings and talks in that Montana ski resort, that it was not serious. It just was a coincidence that they were there together. There was no plan, hey, come meet me in Yellowstone and let's figure this out. And that caused them to have a confrontation in an Indianapolis Starbucks during this combine week. That's how crazy the Stafford stuff has been, ladies and gentlemen, out there, Rams Nation, is that you got some of the top NFL insiders beefing over whose report was right about these, meetings with Stafford and other teams. Isn't that crazy, Mark?
Yeah, and it's actually kind of, the Rams have done a good job, and I don't think it's by design, but staying in the news, and the top reporters across the country are very interested in what the Rams are doing. They're so relevant, and they stay in the news. It's a 24-hour, 12-month-a-year news cycle, and the Rams are in it. And these guys, you're right, man, are, Colin Cowherd's another one that speaks about the Rams constantly, and Jordan Schultz is all, I see little bits and pieces from him about the Rams constantly. So yeah, it's kind of cool, entertaining, why not?
Why not? Yeah. So, I mean, it's just crazy to me that that caused one of the first big NFL insider beefs, part of the top, whatever, 4 or 5 people you consider that. It's just crazy. That's all insane this stuff's got. But we hit to the point where insiders and reporters, a lot of them were confident that a trade was likely. And even before then, Mark and Rams Nation out there, if you've been following me on X, Twitter, I've been sharing my thoughts throughout this process of I have a feeling it's for real, and there's a strong case and likelihood that Stafford will be gone. And I think the biggest one... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, you messaged me just yesterday. You thought he was gone, out the door.
I definitely thought so.
Yeah.
Because Rams insider Jordan Rodriguez dropped some serious insight, I guess is the correct word to say it here. She had a video with former NFL Network anchor. I'm blanking on her name right now. Apologies. She has a great podcast. I think that's very, very stat driven. That's a channel and a network that's been popping up. So she was featured on that, talking at length, probably a 20-minute interview kind of talk with it. And I think that needed to happen. You couldn't share this very elaborate, very detailed situation over a quick little segment on ESPN or NFL Network, right? It was a very complicated, it is, and it was a very complicated situation. And Jordan Rodriguez just dropped so much knowledge. Rams Nation, obviously Stafford is back, but I think tuning in that, and you can really get insight on what the Rams were thinking. And after listening to that, about her thoughts on why the Rams wanted to move on or were willing to, right? Could they get good draft capital? Could they follow the Patriot Bill Belichick way where they bail on a player a year early to get good return and not get screwed with a contract? And all those things were on the table. Use that draft capital to maybe move up for the 2026 draft and get a quarterback that they really, really like, that Sean McVay would really, really like. And I thought that made sense. And her comments about, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo is loved in the Rams billing. Sean McVay has had his eyes on Aaron Rodgers for forever, even when he was maybe going to be available in 2021 before we got Stafford. McVay was calling LaFleur in Green Bay, constantly checking on that situation. So that, the Jimmy G thing, their willingness to move on, their willingness to say, hey, we're not going to have a bad contract again, as they had been doing. And they said, hey, they've learned from the Jonah Jackson. They've learned from the Allen Robinson. They've learned from other deals where they paid too early. Even Cooper Kupp, she alluded to, like, those deals were bad contracts, and they don't want to be caught up giving another bad contract to a quarterback or any player for that most part. So all that, I was like, oh, he's gone. He's gone, Mark.
Yeah, and Jordan also pointed out, which was really insightful, she commented that, the Rams, the last two drafts has been as fruitful as any two drafts back to back by any team she's ever seen, and the Rams want to capitalize on that. But at the same time, a lot of contracts are going to be coming due in a couple of years, so there's a lot of moving parts, a lot to figure out, and they needed to decide what was the best path for immediate success and long-term success. And that's where Jimmy G came in, I think, because they figured, the backup plan was, and I still am a firm believer that Jimmy G could be successful in this offense. I'd rather have Stafford, but I don't think it would have been the end of the world. And I think that's the dance that McVay was performing in his head, what's best to ensure short-term and long-term success with all these young players that are just such a good couple of back-to-back drafts, and then some contracts are going to come up in a couple of years, right? So they got to figure that out. I think the only of all these draft picks, one of the points she made is that they can exercise a fifth-year option is Jared Verse. So some of those contracts are going to come a little bit earlier than you would wish.
Yeah, I mean, those are good problems to have, Rams Nation, right? Pay Puka early before we wait and wait and wait, like Bengals Jamar Chase, and now you're going to have to break the bank even more insane than you probably should have originally. And Kobe, Jared Verse, Byron, Braden, I mean, they're going to have to decide. You're not going to pay everybody, but, those are good problems to have. And Steve Avila and whoever else you can name, Quinn Lake, they got to figure that out, right? Everybody, literally. It feels like that's a young player that's playing good football. So that, and then one more thing about Jordan's report. When she said the Rams have been firm, and a lot of Rams leadership is firm on their deal, and they are very far apart. You know what I thought, Mark, Rams Nation? I definitely thought Rams were offering, and I still believe this, less than $40 million per year. I was thinking Baker Mayfield deal or a little bit higher. So what is Baker getting right now annually? About 33, 34 million, 35. I don't remember exactly. It's in that mid 30s range. And I was like, oh, Rams are offering that or maybe a little bit more, but it was under 40. I was convinced of that. And I still believe that to this day, that was their offer for a majority of these negotiations. And I thought that, and her comment like, yeah, they're firm about their offer and it's very far apart. I was like, yeah, it's under 40. It has to be. That's the only reason why it made sense to me why that Stafford would even want to leave. Because he'd be like, I'm so disrespected from the Rams that I can't be here for that amount of money, which is what, I thought. And gosh, I was convinced yesterday, Mark. I was.
Yeah, I think it's from the Stafford family. I think it just became a point of pride that Matthew needed to be compensated on paper. That that's matches the other quarterbacks of his caliber. So, hey, Dak Prescott, the amount of money he's making, and Matthew Stafford looks at that and says, this just doesn't work for me. I need a raise.
Yeah. And what happens a little bit earlier today, this morning, we get news that Rams and Stafford are going to meet, and they're going to have a resolution on what the hell is going to happen with him. And in the 11th hour, quote unquote, Rams and Stafford finally agree to a restructured deal. And I got to be honest, not that I was shocked, but I was like, thank freaking God. Thank the football gods if they exist out there. Because, look, would Aaron Rodgers have worked? I think it would have worked. Would they win a Super Bowl? Probably not. Who knows? Maybe. Could have Jimmy Garoppolo have worked? Maybe. Probably. He had a nice Week 18 performance where I thought he played some good football with a lot of backups playing against the Seahawks starters, a playoff-level team. But there's no doubt about it that Stafford is the key to winning Lombardi in this, in this modern NFL era. He's the quarterback you want going toe-to-toe with any other of the top 5 guys, whatever your personal list is out there. So I think at the end of the day, and we still have to wait for these reports to come out of how this actually came to be with them agreeing on it. I think Rams pulled their head out of their asses probably and said, okay, we're not going to offer that under $40 million. Because I've been saying all along, Mark, that it had to be 45, and I think Stafford would have agreed to that, right? Yeah. If he wanted 50, I've been saying for, I think, a couple of weeks now, talking with anyone I've had conversation with on X, Twitter, about this. I was like, I think Stafford, I'm confident, and I think that Stafford would meet them in the middle and say, I'll take 45, right? You got 40 last year. He wants 50. Okay, we'll meet in the middle at 45, and he says, let's ride. So because that wasn't happening, because for whatever reason, Rams were firm on that, which is why I believe they were offering under 40. I think that's what the Rams did to agree at this contract. I think they finally said, okay, we'll bump it to 45. And Stafford's like, perfect. That's what I've wanted all along. And they got it done. That's what I believe.
Yeah. And what really separates Stafford from just about every other quarterback in the league, there's maybe 2 or 3 that are with him. Regular season, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, whatever. Playoff time, the lights are on. Who do you want leading your team? Especially it's still a very young team. And, as Sean McVay, and I think Jordan actually pointed it out too, he has done a great job of connecting with his teammates and, just such a locker room presence. I don't think Aaron Rodgers could pull that off at this point. I'm not sure about Jimmy G. Maybe he could, but leading a locker room and playoff time with the lights on, I'll take Matthew Stafford over just about any quarterback in the league at this point.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
This episode is brought to you by Coffee Mate. After watching this season of the HBO's original series, The White Lotus, this is the tropical getaway I needed. One more pina colada, please.
Hey, you're not on mute.
Oh, I thought I was in paradise. Turns out, it was my Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate Pina Colada and Thai Iced Coffee Flavored Creamers. Inspired by the newest season of HBO's original series, The White Lotus. For the love of coffee. Try now.
More rewards, more savings. With American Express Business Gold, earn up to $395 back in annual statement credits on eligible purchases at select shipping, food delivery, and retail subscription merchants. Enjoy the benefits of membership with the Amex Business Gold Card. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And I think that's a good time to pull out some fun stats. So speaking of playoff time and Matthew Stafford turning into an absolute quarterback demon, in the last 4 playoff tournaments, the most games with multiple passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions, Mahomes has 5. Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen are right behind that, tied with 4 games. I mean, that's elite. Those are Hall of Fame level quarterbacks on the screen here if you're tuning on YouTube. Again, Patrick Mahomes with 5 games, Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen of the Bills tied at 4. Again, most games with multiple passing touchdowns and 0 INTs in the last 4 playoff tournaments, last 4 seasons. Fantastic. And on top of that, if you aren't convinced with that stat, in NFL history, Matthew Stafford sits at number 1 with the most passing yards per game in the playoffs. He's at 307.9. Who's under him? A fellow Ram, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner with 304. Who's under that? Dan Fouts from the Chargers with 303. And then Drew Brees, who will be a Hall of Famer, I believe, with 298.1. So Stafford, the soul snatcher, people were calling him, right? When he had that funny, famous quote after the Brady Tampa game where we almost blew it, but he threw some big time passes for us to win it, right? The deep downfield, he's got Cup again, right? That famous little audio clip by NBC there. Gosh, I mean, he's the guy. This is why you pay him that money, right, Mark?
Yeah, and isn't it amazing how often Rams players show up in these record books just over and over and over again? It's going off on a tangent there, but it's true. The Rams are relevant again with this guy, and they've been relevant since he got here. So it's just awesome that we kept him. And we just got to get to the playoffs. You get to the playoffs, and with a Matthew Stafford leading the charge. You'll love our chances, man. Just got to get to the dance.
Yep, I agree with that. And on that note, Rams Nation, as of right now, as we're recording a little bit later on this Friday afternoon, we don't know the details of the contract. So yes, I am speculating. I'm guessing that it is $45 million per year, and I expect that to be the case. Could it be more? Wouldn't be shocked. Could it be less? I also wouldn't be shocked. Now, yes, more money means less money to spend for the other players, other possible trades, free agents, of course. Less money means more money to spend for possible free agents, trades, etc. But I do think that sweet spot, which I believed all along was $45 million, I think that'll be the case when we see the details come out. I don't think anytime soon. I think it'll be at least a couple weeks, similar to it was last year. It took some weeks, maybe even months, if my memory serves me correctly, before we knew the details of that. So if I had to also guess, though, Mark, tell me if you agree with this or you don't. I think it'll be another de facto 1-year deal where it'll be like, hey, you got $45 million guaranteed for 2025. And then we'll revisit again in 2026, depending on how the season goes and depending on how he plays. And I'm not mad about that, though. Really, I'm not mad about that at all. If that's
yeah, I'm not sure. I can only guess. Contracts and analyzing contracts and destructing them is not my strength. I just hope that, hey, we're going to talk about another contract that they just signed with a player. Mm-hmm. And if the numbers add up the way I think, it's eaten up a big chunk of our salary cap. So maybe they're restructuring it in a way that, if Matthew Stafford really wants to get to a Super Bowl, there's some leftover money to sign a couple more guys because we need to I don't think we have a bunch of needs, but we do have a couple, unless they're just hoping to hit it in the draft again.
I know there's definitely a lot of needs, and I think with that point, Rams Nation, and we'll finish the Stafford stuff on a couple notes. I think it's important to share this though, because everyone says, okay, he's 37. What can you do with a 37-year-old quarterback, right? And history has been kind to a lot of 37-year-olds. There's been plenty of 37-year-old quarterbacks that have played really good football. Go back to Johnny Unitas. Sorry, not Unitas. Unitas. Baltimore Colt legend who won a championship, I believe, a Super Bowl at 37 years old, way back when. John Elway won his last couple Super Bowls, 37, 38 years old, where he was playing some good football with, Terrell Davis rushing for 2,000 multiple times, it feels like, or at least one time, but had another great season as well. Then you can jump to, in the modern era, with the salary cap really being firm, being very, a hard cap where you can't go over like the NBA and you don't get that in trouble and all, no salary cap like baseball. Tom Brady, since 2000, is the only 37-year-old to win a Super Bowl. And I think that's really important, which is why I think the Rams were so reluctant for so long about all that. So, again, 2014 Tom Brady, when they beat the Seahawks, where Russell Wilson threw a pick, they didn't hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch, is the last 37-year-old quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And in that season, Rams Nation, in case you're curious what he was making, like where did he rank in the salary that season, Tom was the 13th highest paid quarterback in terms of annual salary that 2014 campaign, And he's the last one. Yes, Aaron Rodgers won an MVP at 37. He was the 7th highest paid quarterback that year. But, we benefited from him playing bad against the 49ers in that second round divisional game where, they lost, and then Niners played us in the conference game in that Super Bowl season not too long ago. And then who was another quarterback to have any, real success? Maybe 37-year-old Ben Roethlisberger had a nice season when he was the second highest paid quarterback, but they got bounced in the first round. He didn't play well. And then I guess you got to go back to 2013 MVP Peyton Manning, who broke a lot of records, 55, passing touchdowns, yada, yada. But they got annihilated by the Seahawks when it was 30-something, 40-something to 8, where they just got smoked in that Super Bowl. So, yes, quarterbacks could play well at 37, but only one has won in the modern era at 37 years old. And I'm sure the Rams are thinking that. I'm sure you're thinking it. I'm thinking of that too. So I will be curious to see what that annual contract will be for Stafford, because that does have a big factor, in my opinion, of Super Bowl success or not, winning it or not. And we'll find out soon, hopefully. Right, Mark?
Yeah, and we got to keep him clean. We got to protect him. And he's a tough dude. He is really one tough dude, but he's been nicked up a lot. Keeps on fighting, keeps on playing, but we got to do everything we can to make sure this offensive line is stout in front of him. It has to be that way with a 37-year-old quarterback that's not real mobile. That's going to be a priority.
Yeah, I agree. But Stafford is back, everyone. What a great day for Rams Nation as this picture. Thumbs up. And hopefully he feels as happy as this picture here with his nice redone smile with the veneers. I'm feeling the same way. Yes. But to your point about, all right, got to protect this old man quarterback.
Yeah, I was setting you up there. I was setting you up.
Yep. Yes. And big news as well, as we all saw Alaric Jackson not that long ago post on all social media about, I would not want to block for anyone else. This is about a month or so ago, or a little bit after the playoff season was over for the Rams, showing a picture of him and Stafford together. Alaric Jackson, everyone, reported by multiple people. Breaking news, Alaric Jackson agrees to a 3-year, $51 million deal. Literally, I feel like 30 minutes after the Stafford stuff came out, right? Mark, I feel like it was right after. And no shock that once he knew his favorite quarterback was back, he was like, all right, I'm in, sign me up.
Yeah, it must have been connected, right?
Yeah, it feels that way for sure.
Yeah.
And to your point about protecting him, I mean, Rams Nation, for linemen, there's the old saying, if you're not calling their name a bunch, they must be playing good. I mean, it was definitely that way with Alaric Jackson. Is he getting the notoriety like Trent Williams or any of the Eagles O-linemen or whoever else you can name off the top of your head. No. Is he the top 5 best left tackles in the entire NFL? I would say off the top of my head, probably not, but, I got to think through that. Maybe. And I think he should be a Pro Bowler. And I know Pro Bowl stuff is very fan-oriented. It's very biased with the media, too. Like, you know how that goes, Mark, and Rams Nation. I'm sure you know. There's plenty of times our players should have been Pro Bowlers throughout the years, and we're not. But what's a good thing about this deal is that $19 million per year that Alaric will be getting over the next 3 years is making him the 13th highest paid offensive tackle in the entire NFL. So he's not top 10. He's not in the top 5 where it's like, man, we overpaid. What are we doing? I think for a guy who's really damn good, who was a Pro Bowl level tackle, in my opinion, I think this is a fantastic deal. Right, Mark?
Well, yeah. Plus, he's 26 years old?
Yeah.
And the 49ers tackle is he hitting? He's north of 40 now.
Yes, he
and
is.
We got a young left tackle, an undrafted rookie. He was undrafted as a rookie, undrafted free agent, and comes in. And hey, salute to him, man. You got to be really happy for him. But Alaric, we're not going to put up with any more 2-game suspensions. Now that you got your money, that can happen again. That was really costly at the beginning of last year, and I have a feeling it won't happen again. But hey, he had a career season, a pay-me season, and it worked out for him, and I'm just glad he's back.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, no more dumbass suspension. Let's call it what it is. Whatever he did, and he kind of alluded to it, it was dumb. He cost us wins at the beginning of the season where we started 1-4. His absence was a direct correlation to us being crappy in those games offensively for the most part. So glad he's back, and hey, good on him because when he's in his upper 30s, he can get another super big payday. Like, that was smart of him and his agent, and I'm glad the Rams wanted him back. He should be back. So now let's picture this. We got Stafford back behind the number 6 rated pass blocking offensive line with Alaric Jackson, Kevin Dotson, Steve Avila, young Bo Limmer, and then old man Rob Havenstein. That group was the 6th best pass blocking O-line, and that's exactly what needed to happen last year and what needs to continue, at least top 10 for, the gunslinger Matthew Stafford to have success. I mean, perfect. I think
what we need to hope for next year is we see some improvement in Bo Limmer's pass blocking. I think he was pretty good in the run blocking. I think that was the weak spot in his game, but he was a rookie. He'll get better, and if he does, this offensive line's going to be. I don't know if I use the word elite, but it will be pretty darn good. And what this also does is, I did a little thing on my last vid or podcast or 1 or 2 ago, the dream scenario for the Rams offseason. And the first thing I wanted to see was Stafford and Alaric Jackson back, right? And so check that box, and that really it opens up some doors in free agency and in the draft. They can focus on other things, and we'll have to see what the next domino to fall is. There's a couple of Rams free agents I think they should be hoping to bring back, but the 2 most important issues have been addressed, so that's good news.
It is very good news. And I think one more thing before we share our final thoughts here is that, well, one lineman is back, and we're happy with that pay grade, but another is seemingly going to be gone as offensive lineman, guard, center, whatever he was going to be or whatever the plans were originally. Jonah Jackson is going to be shipped away, most likely. He has requested a trade and was given that permission by the Rams to be sent away. And gosh, Rams Nation, we've had some really terrible contracts. Sincerely, this one, Colby Parkinson's contract is bad right now. And yes, he contributed and he wasn't a bad player, but you gave him Higbee money to be a Higbee level player. It hasn't lived up to that. Allen Robinson was a disaster. There's other contracts I'm thinking of, right? The Gurley one was a bad deal because of his knee. The Brandon Cooks, him getting concussions, was a bad one. The Bobby Wagner deal, the Ramsey deal, the Floyd deal, like all those ended up being bad deals because they hurt the team long run. And there's other, Ogletree was a bad one. There's tons. There's tons that I'm blanking on as well. And this is just another one in the saga, which made the Rams say, hey, be hesitant with Stafford handing out a lot of money. But it didn't work out. And luckily we survived it. But man, oh man, we got to stop. McVay's got to stop falling in love watching film with people who have questionable health issues or questionable play and thinking, I can fix them. He's got to stop doing that. Because
it seems like
paying big money to guys that don't work out on offense.
And it seems like it's more often on the offensive side. And I think he just sees toys he wants to play with and can't help himself.
That's exactly, McVay, well-spoken man, convinces Les Snead and Tony Pastor is our money man with the contracts, and Kevin and Kroenke, and they're like, oh, this is a great idea, Sean. It's going to work. And it hasn't multiple years in a row with a gazillion offensive players for obviously different reasons. But here's another one in the saga where hopefully we're able to move on from, get away from all that, I think 8 or 9 million guaranteed money roster bonus he's going to get in a week or two. And, send him away. I wish him well. No hard feelings, but what a mess, disaster signing that was. And hopefully that extra cap space will lead us to, get some other players.
And it leads me to believe, the issue that you brought up here is maybe the Rams will be a little bit quiet on the free agent market this year. Maybe bring back a couple of their own guys, low key signings, and just go get more players in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it to be a heavy draft, but there's always the value signings you don't see, like Cameron Curl, a D Will back on a nice deal, cheap deal. Michael Hoyt would be good to bring back, and we'll get into that when free agency starts, Rams Nation. But some other big news, speaking of just Rams player movement, player acquisition, Jonah Jackson. A lot of reports that they said Jonah Williams, that's how much he didn't show his face this year. Jonah Jackson, people were confusing him for former D-tackle Jonah Williams. Man, rough. But whatever, he got $34 million guaranteed. Hard to feel bad for a guy that's a millionaire, right, Mark?
Yeah. Now, was it him asking for a trade? Is that how this came down?
It was kind of mutual. From what I read, some stuff reports, it was like, hey, I know I'm probably not going to start. And Rams are like, yeah, we've kind of known that. So it was a mutual. He requested a trade. Rams gave him permission. Like, okay.
Yeah, because this seems to happen a lot with the Rams. You'll hear this out of the blue. The Rams have, with Ernest Jones, it was Ernest Jones was like, what? What's happening here? You're giving me, I didn't, what? You want me to go look for a trade? And the Matthew Stafford deal was completely different. Obviously just, hey, go out and find out what you're worth. And this one, I guess, more of a just agreement between the team and the player to, hey, see if you can go find a deal.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, at least the Rams will pivot. They'll never squat on a bad deal or a bad move. They'll bail on people, and I respect that. That's good business, right? You screwed up. All right, let's correct it. Let's pivot, and let's not make it worse or allow it to be a bad deal more and more for over a long period of time. But oh, baby, Rams Nation, he is back. Fantastic freaking news. Again, let me know in the comments. Let me and Mark, us here on the Rams Up podcast, know, how do you feel about Matthew Stafford being back? I'm sure a lot of positive feelings. But what do you think he got? Was it a 1-year deal? Was it a 2-year deal? How much per year do you think that was? Was it over 50? Was it under 40? Was it in the mid 40s? We want to hear your thoughts for sure. And subscribe to our channel. Share this video with all your fellow Rams fans. It really helps us out. And everyone tuning on the podcast side of things as well. Share this with everybody, and we appreciate you tuning in there as well. But any thoughts before we get out of here, Mark?
No, hey, it's I'm gonna have to take a look and see what the next what the next move might be. If they're gonna re-sign another Ram player before the league year ends, that's very possible. If not, they're all gonna be on the open market. And that first week of the league year is always fun, and it's just a short time away. Going to be exciting.
That's right, man. Free agency, draft, we'll have all those updates and news here on the Rams Up Podcast Network on this channel through wherever you get your podcasts and listen in there. We'll have all those updates, mock drafts, all that fun stuff. Who do we think the Rams should take? First round, trade ups, trade downs, all that fun stuff. We'll have that here, but that'll do it on this breaking news episode of the Rams Up podcast. Stafford is back and here to stay for this upcoming season. Oh, I love it. Thank God. I was stressed for a while there, Mark, in Rams Station, but that'll do it here. We'll see you very soon with updates on all that stuff and a Cooper Cup update, I'm sure, as well. We'll get some clarity on that, and we'll have that news and analysis for you. But, oh, baby, let's go win another Super Bowl, damn it. Go Rams.
Right on. All right. Thanks, Ian.